All right, we've got some good news and we've got some bad news. I guess let's start with the fact that I was on Jesse Waters' show, or rather, Jesse Waters featured a clip of me and Jasmine Crockett chatting and tried to dunk on us. Now, I guess that could be the bad news. It's also pretty funny because I'll debunk what he's saying in just 1 second. And I guess the cool news is that Jimmy Kimmel featured me on one of his segments. It's actually the same clip with Jasmine Crockett. So I'd like to break down this interview, break down the significance, and kind of push back on what Jesse Waters is saying, because the way that conservatives talk about Jasmine Crockett really reveals their mindset in the way that they think about Black Americans. Honestly, I'll break it down and I'll show you exactly what I mean. Make sure you drop a like, subscribe, watch until the end. And I guess before we get into the comments about Jasmine Crockett and the Jesse Waters segment, let's just watch the interview that I did with her on my live stream while we were in DC just moments after Trump's speech ended.
This is not what we should be doing. I don't even know why we fighting with Greenland. Why we fighting with Greenland? We fighting with Canada. We fighting with Mexico. Yet we in love with Putin. What is happening? Like, this is not America. This is a terrible nightmare. Somebody slap me and wake me the fuck up, because I'm ready to get on with it.
This dude wants to fund, he doesn't want to fund the defensive war in Europe, but he wants to fund an aggressive war with the Panama Canal. Absolutely insane.
While occupying Gaza. But yeah. Okay.
And building towers. What do you say to voters who voted for Trump because they thought he would lower prices, and now they've only gotten trade wars and the alienation of allies?
This is what I say. I say you got hoodwinked, and that's okay. That's okay. Because as I was just telling somebody just a minute ago, I have dated in my life. I know they've been talking about whether or not I'm married and all this other stuff. I'm not married, never married, okay? Just want to get that out there. But I have dated. And I will say, any of us that have ever dated, we've been hoodwinked a time or two, where we done sat there and we thought that he was gonna be so great for us because he sold us on all the things, or her, okay? And then we realized they ain't shit. That's where we are, and that's okay. What matters is that you wake up and you say, this is not the one for me. So even if you voted for him, what you should be doing right now is saying, he is not the one for me. And so if you decide that you're gonna vote for a Democrat, whether it's in a local election, whether it's one of those special elections, because I wanted to get those 3 seats so the Democrats can control the House, just know that it doesn't mean you're a Democrat. It really means that you're a patriot. It really means that you care about this country and you're tired of him dismantling it one agency at a time while throwing money into his pocket, his daggone son-in-law pocket, his daggone brother-in-law pocket, his daggone friend Elon, or the real, president. I don't know what the fuck Elon is, but whatever. Throwing money into his pockets, it's time out. They stealing our money. People that cannot afford food right now are going to have to carry everything on their backs and not have any Medicare, not have any Social Security, not have a way to put food on the table while they go off and have $60 million weddings like Bezos. And I explained, Bezos gonna have enough for the third wife because it's the second. Very, very well said from Jasmine Crockett. Man, I love her. She's so good. She's so good at it. Now, this is what conservatives are always saying about Jasmine Crockett, and this is very, very important because it reveals a lot about their mindset. By the way, make sure you drop a like, subscribe. I've been loving the momentum lately, all because of you guys. But somebody commented on my video, the video that I posted on Instagram, and I saw this comment, I was like, what the hell? They said, she can't speak properly. I didn't realize what they meant at first, but then I kept scrolling and there were more and more comments of people saying, why does she talk like that? Someone said, even Jesse Lee Peterson, if you guys know who this dude is, I'm sorry. He said, before the civil rights movement, even black men and women would not tolerate black women to carry on in the classless ways like Jasmine Crockett, Maxine Waters, Ayanna Pressley. I don't know how they're classless. He then said, but you vote the hood into the government. This dude doesn't even understand what democracy is. You know who voted for Jasmine Crockett? Her constituents. She is a representative who represents where she comes from, who represents who she is, the community she represents. Just because somebody doesn't sound like fucking Mike Pence, I don't get what they want from Jasmine Crockett. Jasmine Crockett is an incredibly charismatic speaker, and just because, do you want her to talk like Donald Trump? Donald Trump and his 4 words that he knows, it never would have happened. It's the best that it's ever been. I've always been someone who said we shouldn't look at everything through the lens of race, but many things can be looked through that lens, and this is one example. When they're mocking her dialect as if it's some kind of liability, when it's actually a strength, it's because it's not even about language. It's about race and it's about power. It's about the idea that someone like Jasmine Crockett, who's a black woman that's unafraid to be herself,
can be in Congress that actually genuinely offends conservatives. It genuinely offends people like Jesse Waters. This is a perfect segue into that Jesse Waters clip that I want to play for you guys where he has me on screen. And he's attacking Jesse Waters, and you know the chyron at the bottom. Just read the chyron. I think this proves what I'm saying. It says, quote, "This is the new face of the Democrat Party." First of all, it's Democratic Party. But secondly, what's wrong with Jasmine Crockett as the face of the party? She represents a very, very real constituency in America. Black women showed up for Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. They're saying the new face of the Democratic Party. Can you believe who it is? You get what they're getting at, right? Jesse Waters is saying this negatively. So let's play this clip and then let's react to it.
Are we watching the Democratic Party have a manic episode? Nancy's reign has been shattered, and all we keep seeing is Jasmine, not to be confused with Davy Crockett.
This is not what we should be doing. I don't even know why we fighting with Greenland. Why we fighting with Greenland? We fighting with Canada. We fighting with Mexico. Yet we in love with Putin. What is happening? Like, this is not America. This is a terrible nightmare. Somebody slap me and wake me the up, because I'm ready to get on with it.
If you could tell Donald Trump anything tonight, what would you tell him?
I would tell him to grow a spine and stop being Putin's hoe.
Ooh. So Crockett's the new face of the Democratic Party, and I love it. I think she should run for president.
God, Jesse Waters is such a smug asshole. I actually use this as an opportunity to like tweet at their team. And I was like, if you want me to come on the show and defend what we're all saying, then I can do that. But he's clearly implying here. This is what he's saying. He's implying that Jasmine Crockett isn't intelligent or like charismatic enough to run for president. And it's like, dude, you voted for Donald Trump. I don't know what... Jasmine Crockett is a firebrand who's risen to power very quickly because people like what she says. She's not rising to power because people don't like what she says. So it just brings me back to those comments that I was showing you earlier on my posts about, quote unquote, the way she talks. What they're really saying is, we don't like the fact that she's in Congress in the first place. We don't like the fact that Black Americans are getting these opportunities and that they're pushing back so relentlessly against the Republican Party. Like, bro, we have a racist felon president who tried to overturn the results of an election and who makes up nicknames and who has 3 words in his vocabulary. I mean, going back to Sarah Palin, she knew nothing about anything. But then when a black woman speaks differently in Congress, suddenly it's a massive scandal. Suddenly it's the biggest news story and the Democratic Party is falling. Again, it's part of a much bigger trend. I mean, we all went through this election cycle. We saw the way people spoke about Kamala Harris. She made them incredibly mad. Even KBJ, the Supreme Court Justice, incredibly mad. And Jasmine Crockett has that same effect, which is kind of why I love it. Crockett makes Republicans so incredibly mad, and it's because she's really good at what she does. Very concisely dissecting why they're terrible in a very simple way, because I feel like a lot of Democratic politicians speak in an overly verbose or almost like, not condescending, but in an academic way. Why are we speaking in an academic way? I try to speak in a non-academic way as well, and I think that's why my show is relatable. That's why Jasmine Crockett is relatable, and she is a rising star within the Democratic Party that you should all look out for. I'll leave it at that. Thank you guys for everything. Drop a like, subscribe. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.